Hey everybody, today I want to talk to you about our wild ride with Stranger Things. The ups, the downs, the monsters, the heartache, and the friendship. Actually, all of it. We've been on this journey since the very beginning, watching a small town mystery unfold in Hawkins, Indiana, and slowly morph into a decade-spanning battle against the supernatural. And with Season 5 wrapping up soon, I thought it would be good to look back at the highlights, the growth, and just how far we all grew with these kids. So settle in, grab your favorite snack or drink, because we're going deep, from the very first Demogorgon to whatever nightmarish things await in the Upside Down, and everything in between. So, let's get after it. Remember Season 1? It hit different. It wasn't trying to be epic. It just started with a missing boy, a freak storm of weirdness, and a small town that refused to believe its own eyes. That simplicity was the charm. What made it magical was how personal it all felt. We got that moment when 11 showed up, that broken, scared kid with powers beyond belief. Her first appearance, scared and confused, introducing the real stakes. And alongside her, a group of kids on bikes, walkie-talkies in hand, believable, vulnerable, mortal. Their friendship felt real. And who can forget those flashlight-lit night rides through the woods, those scenes where the world felt big and scary, the uncertainty, the feeling that maybe, just maybe, something genuinely awful was lurking in the shadows. That tension, that terror mixed with wonder, that was the core of the show. For a lot of us, it wasn't just another sci-fi horror show. It felt like stepping into a story that could have happened to real people, but then going deeper and much darker. So the major events of Season 1. Will Byers disappears after encountering a creature later known as a Demogorgon. Hawkins National Laboratory is revealed to be conducting secret experiments. 11 escapes Hawkins' lab. Mike, Lucas, and Dustin find 11 and hide her. Joyce communicates with Will through the Christmas lights after being taken. The Demogorgon begins hunting in Hawkins. 11's powers are revealed, telekinesis and remote viewing. Hopper uncovers conspiracy and enters the lab. And the boys and teens work together to fight the Demogorgon. 11 sacrifices herself to destroy the monster. And Will is rescued, but shows signs of lingering connection to the Upside Down. Season 2 kicked things up a notch. It stopped being just about find Will, and it started being about save him and everyone else. We saw the consequences of the Upside Down reach further. Will was no longer just missing. He was scared, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And the show didn't shy away from saying, trauma changes people. Will's episodes, the hallucinations, the terror, the paranoia, they left a heavy mark. Watching him get dragged between two worlds, sensing horrors no one else could. It turned from a mystery into pain, and that pain felt real. Then there was 11's journey, trying to find a new family, to fit in, to heal while still being hunted. Her reunion with Jim Hopper, the snow-covered cabin fight, the ugly truths born from government experiments. It was personal, and it grounded the supernatural. And Season 2 reminded us that growing up doesn't erase trauma. It teaches you to survive around it. So the major events of Season 2. Will experiences visions of the Upside Down, later revealed to be possession by the Mind Flayer. 11 lives secretly with Hopper. The Upside Down gate continues to expand under Hawkins' lab. A new monster introduced, the Demodogs. Max and Billy introduced to the story. Nancy and Jonathan expose Hawkins' lab wrongdoing. 11 learns about her past and the other test subjects. 11 manages to close the gate with her powers. And the snowball dance ends the season on a bittersweet note as the Mind Flayer looms over Hawkins. By the time Season 3 rolled around, the kids were older, the town was changing, and the villains got bigger. and the stakes way louder. We had sunlight, neon malls, summer jackets. Childhood colliding with something older, something darker. The battles weren't just against monsters. They were against change, loss, and the creeping realization that nothing stays normal forever. And yet, even in the chaos, there are moments of growth. The relationships evolved. Friendships matured. We saw young people trying to hold on to innocence, while the world demanded they grow up way too fast. Then came the hits that shook us all. Loss, betrayal, heartbreak, the Mind Flayer fight, betrayals from certain characters. All of that made it clear the show wasn't pulling punches anymore. This was no longer the quaint small-town mystery. This was war. The major events recap for Season 3. A secret Russian base beneath Starcourt Mall is discovered. The Mind Flayer returns through a new gate. Possession spreads through Billy and Hawkins' residence. 11 and Max grow closer. Mike and 11 face relationship tension. Dustin returns from camp with a new girlfriend, Susie. Hopper and Joyce investigate strange electromagnetic activity. The final battle at Starcourt Mall, where Billy sacrifices himself and the gate is closed again. Hopper seemingly dies in that explosion. And the Byers family and 11 leave Hawkins for California. And the post-credit scene reveals Hopper's alive, but in a Russian prison. Season 4 is when Stranger Things leaned fully into horror. Not just monster horror, but emotional horror. We watched what happens when trauma compounds over years. Grief, guilt, fear, desperation. One of the most unforgettable arcs was Max Mayfield and her storyline. Absolutely brutal. It asked questions about loss, survivor's guilt, and whether you can find hope when every memory feels haunted. Max's struggle was human, absolutely heartbreaking, and it forced the show, and all of us, to grow up with it. And then there was Eddie Munson. From the metalhead outsider persona to becoming the kind of ragtag hero you don't expect, but end up rooting for in the end. He took moments that seemed small and turned them into bravery. And I don't think any one of us will forget his concert in the Upside Down. Season 4 made it clear, horror isn't just about monsters. Sometimes it's about people, memory, and trauma. It acknowledged that trauma lingers. It doesn't vanish when the credits roll. And the Upside Down could stay closed, but its ghosts would always follow. So the major events recap for Season 4. Spring break separation. Byers and 11 in California. Hawkins' kids dealing with murders. Hopper imprisoned in Russia. A new villain emerges. Vecna, tied to Hawkins' lab's past. Chrissy, Fred, and others murdered via psychic visions. Eddie Munson becomes a fugitive and joins the group, as everybody thinks that he murdered Chrissy, Fred, and the others. Max becomes Vecna's target. Running up that hill saves her. 11 regains powers through training with Dr. Owens and Brenner. Yep, he came back. Hopper escapes Russia with Joyce and the help of Murray. In the major revelations of this season, Vecna is Henry Creel, also labeled Number 1. 11 created the rift to the Upside Down in their original battle. In the final battle of this season, Eddie sacrifices himself to protect and help the rest and buy them some time. Max ends up dying briefly, but 11 is able to revive her. And Vecna is injured, but manages to somehow survive. And all of the great gates under Hawkins merge, damaging Hawkins extensively. And the season ends with the Upside Down beginning to bleed fully into Hawkins. And now here we are, Season 5, Part 1. The final lap. Hawkins isn't just a weird small town anymore. It's ground zero. The horror is bigger. The stakes are personal. The characters we met as kids, they're basically adults now, but they're carrying every scar from every fight, every loss, and every heartbreak. One of the things I love the most about this season is that it doesn't try to sugarcoat the damage. The show doesn't skip the aftermath. It shows all of it. Lives are broken, relationships are strained or shifting, people are carrying weight, and that honesty, the scars, the exhaustion, somehow makes every victory feel earned, and every loss hit twice as hard. Now let's talk about Will Byers. Will's journey has always been complicated. In Season 5, you start to really see how much he's changed. Not just because of what's happened to him, but because of what he's endured. He's no longer just the missing kid or the quiet one. He's become a kind of emotional anchor for the entire group. He has trauma, sure, but he also has clarity now, confidence, a purpose beyond just surviving. That arc from scared, lost kid to somebody with agency, someone who can fight back, that's huge, especially when you remember where he started. It makes you appreciate how far these characters and how far the show has actually come in almost a decade. So the recap of major events for Season 5 Part 1. Hawkins becomes partially evacuated and militarized due to the expanding gates. The Upside Down begins to fully merge with reality. 11 struggles with the limits of her powers but commits to facing Vecna one final time. Will begins experiencing visions and signals again. His connection to the Mind Flayer strengthens. Mike and Will's friendship deepens with more honest communication. And the group reunites in Hawkins. Mike, Will, Jonathan, and Argyle return. 11 arrives with Hopper, Joyce, and of course Murray. Max remains in a fragile physical and mental condition following her Season 4 injuries. Steve, Nancy, and Robin investigate points where the worlds overlap. Hopper prepares for a final confrontation, more protective of 11 than ever. Vecna's plan escalates, using the merging worlds to fully bring the Mind Flayer into control. Target key emotional anchors of 11 and Will. And Part 1 ends with the main group preparing for the final counterstrike, as Hawkins teeters on collapse. So what do we have going into Part 2 and setting up for the finale? So the gates continue merging, destabilizing Hawkins. Vecna is regaining his strength. Will's connection signals the final battle approaching. 11 prepares for the end game. The group is reunited for the first time since early Season 3. And the stage is set for the 2-part series conclusion. Thanks everybody for stopping by. Down in the comments, let us know what you think we're preparing for. Do we have an emerging hero from the mist like Eddie Munson was? Or are they going to destroy Vecna together? Remember to hit the like and subscribe on your way out the door. And until next time, everybody, have a great night.